Greetings. Today I will talk about Lord Calvert and the establishment of the Maryland colony as a refuge for Catholics. Before getting started, I would encourage you to subscribe to the Mossy Feet Books YouTube channel for more great content. If you like my videos, please hit the like button. The more likes I get, the more YouTube will show it to other people, allowing me to grow the channel. I also entreat you to visit my website, www.mossyfeetbooks.com. There you will find sample chapters, podcasts, a slew of content, and links to where you can buy my books. While visiting the website, you can subscribe to it and receive email notifications of when I publish a new book or other content like this video and podcast. This episode is based on my book, Colonial American History Stories, 1215 through 1665. King Charles I had stripped George Calvert, 1st Baron of Baltimore, of his office of Secretary of State when Calvert announced that he was a Catholic. Because of their persecuted status, Calvert managed to convince the king to grant him a colony that would serve as a refuge for Catholics. The king had the grant drafted, but Calvert died before the king could execute it. Thus, the king transferred the grant to his son, Cecil Calvert, 2nd Baron of Baltimore. Calvert would begin making plans for his colony. Two small ships, the Ark and the Dove, completed a crossing in the Atlantic Ocean. Colonists from the two ships landed on St. Clement's Island on March the 25th, 1634. They established a base camp for a future colony of Maryland. The province of Maryland began life as a proprietary colony of Cecil Calvert, 2nd Baron of Baltimore. In theory, all land in the British Empire belonged to the king. He could divide it amongst his subjects any way he saw fit. The king used this type of colony to reward loyal supporters. The proprietor became, in effect, the supreme ruler of the colony. Of course, the proprietor was ultimately subject to the king. Lord Baltimore established a colony in 1632 as a refuge for Catholics. Religious wars in Europe caused many Catholics to face persecution. This was especially true in England during this time. Cecil Calvert, 2nd Baron of Baltimore, lived from August the 8th, 1605, until November the 30th, 1675. He was the first son of George Calvert, the first Lord Baltimore, and Anne Minn. He entered the world at Kent, England. He received his education at Trinity College and the University of Oxford, beginning his studies in 1621. In 1628, his father traveled to live in his colony of Newfoundland and Cecil accompanied him there. The colony there failed to take root, and the Baltimores returned to England. His father sought refuge in it. His father had sought a charter to found a colony in the mid-Atlantic area of North America to serve as a refuge for Catholics. The king finally granted this charter in 1632, a few months after George Calvert's death. The charter devolved to his son Cecil, who began laying plans to fulfill his father's dream. The ships left Gravesend, Kent, England in October 1633. The British Navy caused a brief delay in their voyage when they pursued the ships and forced them to return to Gravesend. The king required all passengers immigrating to the colonies to take an oath of allegiance to the king. The settlers had failed to do this. After completing this requirement, the ships again set sail. They sailed for the Isle of Wight in the English Channel to pick up more passengers. Here, the almost 200 people joined the 128 immigrants on the two ships, and in November the ships left the Isle of Wight for the New World. After a detour to Jamestown, the ship finally made landfall at St. Clement's Island on March the 25th, 1634. St. Clement's Island is called Blackstone Island at the time. The colonists later renamed it St. Clement's Island. The name is in honor of Pope St. Clement I, the patron saint of mariners. The colonists used the island as a base while they negotiated with the local Yaocomaco Indian tribe for land. The Maryland Department of Natural Resources maintains a state park on the island to preserve the site. Replicas of the Ark and Dove reside in the harbor, as well as a replica of the Blackstone Island Lighthouse. It's at St. Clement's Island State Park. Is care of Point Lookout State Park, 11175 Point Lookout Road, Scotland, Maryland, 20687. The phone is 301-872-5688. This episode is based on my book, Colonial American History Stories, 1215 through 1664, available on the website www.mossyfeetbooks.com. The book is the first book in the 6-volume Timeline of United States History series. Discover some of the famous as well as some of the most almost forgotten historic stories of America. The story begins with the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215 and the beginning of the concept of limited government, and ends, for now, with the beginning of the American Revolution in 1775. The articles in the book have more detail as well as articles not included in the podcast series. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you for